Look at my little worms. Hey, excited for ADX 2021. We've been in lockdown for so long. I'm going to meet some people and see some products. Let's go. So I'm at the Amalgadent stand with Andre, and he showed me this bulk fill material, which is truly a one-step bulk fill material. I haven't seen anything like it. And I was thinking, you know when you fill like root canal spaces and we use a dual core? Why do we use it? We use it because it's dual core and there's an unlimited depth of cure from it because it chemically cures. They've done that in a package that's tooth colored. That's what makes it amazing. It's nano hybrid and you can do an entire posterior restoration in one go. Let me show you how. So the first thing you need to do is bend the tip so you can get access to where you want to go. This is our tooth there, and just like anything that you fill, you start from the bottom and you keep the material in there and you basically fill it up, and then on the occlusal surface too. Just make sure you don't bring it out of the material so you don't let air bubbles in there. Like, can you imagine how much time you're going to save on restorations doing it this way? And from what Andre tells me, it takes 90 seconds for it to cure properly. Look at that, fantastic. So it takes 90 seconds to cure. You can light cure it, but don't do it because the contraction properties of composite is different from self-cure to light cure. When you light cure, we all know it pulls towards a light. But if you let it self-cure, it cures towards a bonded surface. How amazing is that? It doesn't pull away. So if you leave for 90 seconds, it's going to set, but it's also going to get the oxygen inhibition layer on top, which is amazing because that means you can add more composite to it later. So if you want to put a layer of aesthetic composite on top, feel free to do so. Underfill, and then you've got a top layer that you can put an enamel shade of whatever composite you like in case your patient's fancy. The other thing I was thinking is you could probably use the stamp technique really well on this as well. You could put it on, get your stamp in, pop it on top, and let it set that way. And that way you get all the occlusal anatomy ready done. Let's peel this back and see how it goes. Okay, so let's peel this away and see the end result. Look at that. Not a void in sight. Oh, yeah, so what are we doing? Look at this guy. If you had problems with dental assistants, I've got your answer for you. This is robot, no it's not, it's just part of the ADX. You can take selfies with it, so you push his face and you can take a picture. Pretty cool. Okay, I'm at the Moredent stand and this is the EMS AirFlow. Now I've had my eye on this thing for a little while now. It's about $13,000 plus GST and it does some pretty cool things. It's got the normal piezoelectric EMS, which is great, but it's got AI technology in it. So you kind of set the hard limit on this controller here to say like 4 or 5, and it takes it to as low as it can, and if it detects calculus, then it boosts it up to where you want to go. But the cool thing is this thing. This is the AirFlow. It's like air abrasion, but for calculus. So you can't damage teeth with it, you can only remove calculus with it. It uses 40 nanometer erythritol particles, which is great because it doesn't get dentine or enamel, but it gets through calculus. So you can put this on teeth, on implants. You can also go subgingivally with this other component here as well. And with powder and water, you can clean all those areas. The reason I've liked this for a while is 2 reasons. I think comfort for patients is number 1. Apparently it's super gentle from people that have used it, and also heats the water up to 40 degrees centigrade as well. So super smooth and super warm and comforting for patients. They're not getting sensitivity from water, and they're also not getting that jerky vibration feel as well. So this is what I'd like to look at, I guess, at some point. The cool thing is it's got a wireless foot pedal. And so apparently you can push one side and you get normal power. If you go in the middle, you get boost mode. So that's pretty cool, I like that. It needs air and it needs power to it. Apart from that, it's pretty mobile, and it comes with this cool stand as well. So the EMS AirFlow looks pretty cool. So I'm at the SDI booth and I want to talk to you guys about Aura. I was given a box of these for free, I think, a year or 2 ago, and I just threw it aside thinking, you know what, it's just like every other composite, nothing to write home about. And I tried it, and I must say I've not put it down since trying it for anterior teeth. So it uses a 2-shade system, dentine and enamel. And the dentine was microhybrid, and the enamel is microfiller.
Nanohybrid microfiller.
Nanohybrid microfiller. Nanohybrid microfiller. I'll get this right one day. But all I know is it works. It works because the fluorescence looks very natural to tooth, and it's got some kind of chameleon effect that even if I don't get the color quite right, it seems to just work. So we've started buying these even though we got a free sample. A bit like a drug dealer really. They gave me a free sample and now I buy my own. Aura. I can vouch for it myself. This is what I use from the SDI booth. So we're at the ADA stand with Frank the Molar and Angelo, and we're going to talk about ADA memberships. Now, you guys might be thinking, why'd I have to join the ADA? It's a lot of money and I don't get anything from it. Well, this is where we tell you you're wrong. Well, you're never wrong. You have your choice. But what I tend to find is that with our group and our profession, we have much more power united than separately. And what the ADA does, it gives us the ability to unite all our thoughts under one umbrella so we have some momentum behind us. And that's what I like, because at the moment, you've heard about all this TGA stuff, or we might have to register ourselves in making crowns and prostheses and things like that. Well, the ADA has got our backs to try and make sure that doesn't happen. There's also things like CPD, courses, just events that help us be united as a profession. So we're not alone when we need help. There's HR stuff as well. I think there's mental support stuff that we can get access to. So it's a lot of stuff that you can get for only about $1,000 for the local membership. And how much for the full thing?
$1,900 for both.
$1,900 for both. Like, that's pretty cheap considering that all the dental stuff is super expensive. I think you pay like $3,000 or $4,000 for membership for a month for a practice management group. So you get a whole year for much less. So that's my thoughts on this. I'm an ADA member, have been since I've graduated, and I think, you know what, if you want to help our profession as a goal, give it a shot. We're looking at taking over the world, right? Meaningless tasks. So I'm at the Moredent stand again, and this is the Cortec 1 Plus. This is a true 5-axis mill, and it's chairside, which is amazing. It's open source, so it uses ExoCAD, and it uses pucks. So the cool thing about this is you can get 6 blocks in that in one go, so you don't have to change blocks during a full mouth rehab. You can actually use the actual puck itself and even mill for implants too, which is absolutely amazing. Apparently one crown takes about 10 minutes to mill, and it's both wet and dry because there's a chamber under here that has the water as well. It has drill bits, I think, so it can change the bits as it requires. About $130,000, including the scanner. So it looks pretty cool. Cortec 1 Plus. I'm in the TePe stand, and who doesn't like the Swedes? The Swedes are amazing because they're fair in equity, they're fair in wage, and they're also really good about the environment. And that's what we're talking about today, is the carbon neutral products that TePe have. So 50 years ago, TePe produced this toothbrush. Now they produce this toothbrush. And the difference is this is made from sugarcane. And the good thing about sugarcane is it absorbs the most amount of carbon from the atmosphere. So what happens with that is they turn it into ethanol and they turn it into this toothbrush, which means you're locking away a lot of the carbon in this toothbrush. Now this toothbrush can be recycled, but one thing I didn't know until I spoke to Anne here was that there's actually a metal filament in the toothbrush head. So before you recycle any toothbrush, you need to break the head off and recycle that bit.
That all our products and packaging is going to be carbon neutral.
Well, and I don't know any other dental company that's trying to do that by 2022. Like, that's pretty cool, right? So carbon neutral product, if you want to support it, TePe brushes, and it's called the, what's the brand?
This is TePe Good.
TePe Good. Good for you, good for the environment. I'm at Innovative Medical Technologies, and can I ask you a question? Do you know what's better than O2? O3, of course. Ozone is something we use for disinfection and for cleaning when you have no other sources, or even if you do have other sources. It's become a really big thing in COVID because people can wipe surfaces with it, you can rinse with it, and it's supposed to help kill bacteria and viruses. Now, we've got some products here from BioSure. We've got the tumbler, the spray, the inline, and the centralized disinfection unit. And they produce different amounts of O3. This one produces 2 parts per million, 3 parts per million, 1.5 part per million constant, so it doesn't stop. And this is 4 to 6 part per million. These two are pretty cool. You kind of start it off. It produces ozone, and you can actually, once it's done, you can have your patients pre-rinse and post-rinse with it, which is pretty cool. You pull it off, you can put it into a little rinse cup, and your patients can rinse with it. So rather than having peroxide or things that are really nasty and harsh, this is something to use as well. This one I thought was pretty cool. This is the spray system. So once it's produced ozone, you can spray surfaces with it and clean it rather than using harsh chemicals, which I thought was pretty cool. The inline is if you don't have water bottles, you can attach it to your chair, and that's going to allow you to basically flush ozone through your whole line, which means you don't get biofilm buildup. And that I found was pretty cool in the video I saw where some dentists had put it into a system you already had, and the amount of gunk that was coming out of it, it was pretty disgusting. You don't want that. You don't want that. This big puppy here is what you hang on the wall under your sink in sterilization. So once you get ozone from this guy, it can last for about 30 to 60 minutes and still have an effective range. While these guys you should use straight away. At the show, they're pretty well priced. $300, $400, and $7,990 for this thing. But it also comes with a full unit, so I think a filter system and the tap and the faucet and things like that as well. So if you're looking at a product that you can use to disinfect and sterilize, then look for O3. So as dental professionals, we want isolation to keep the lips and tongues and things out the way and saliva. And you know what? I've used products like Ultradent, which is great, but when the patient relaxes, it pops out and there's issues there, and sometimes not so comfortable on like the Freenham. Ultradent have come up with the umbrella. It's like it's been developed for 10 years, and it's a comfortable way of retracting the lips and cheeks without hitting the Freenham, and the patient can actually bite as well, so you can do occlusal adjustments. It goes in really easily, so just squeeze, you pop it in, tongue to the roof of your mouth. I can talk and go through the roof. So, if you want retraction, look at the umbrella. Ultradent. Guns, Dentavision, and Henry Schein all sell this, so have a look. Do you know what I have that Michael Sernik has developed? Channel D. Channel D, most people look at him and they think to themselves, this is just another education tool to educate patients, but it's not. What it is a conversational starter and a practice growth tool. Because what it does is it empowers patients to have sound bites and little bits of information that they either want to tell other people or they want to talk to the dentist about. And so they're asking you about things that you wouldn't never even thought to talk about. Things like sleep apnea, pregnancy and gingivitis, things that you may not have thought about because the patient themselves might not have it, but they know a family or a friend or someone else that has that issue. And so they see these videos, they get piqued and interested, and they can have a conversation with you. So Channel D, conversation starter, we have it at our practice, we love it. People think I've made the videos because I make videos, and sometimes I take credit for it.
As you should.
But really, it's genius education because it's not about telling people the technicalities of what's happening. It's about having them understand the concepts and problems that certain issues can have. So when it triggers in their head, they'll talk to you as health professionals about that. I'm here with Sue from Hygiene Hackers, and we're about to test my biofilm to see what my flora and fauna of my mouth is. We've got a Leica microscope. You know how much I love Leica. And so we're going to test it out and see what's going to go. So
Have you brushed lately?
this morning.
Go right to the back.
Okay.
Have a fiddle. You need the tiniest amount in a proximal. If you
Okay.
know you've got a pocket, go there. Okay. I hope you... Okay.
Don't film this. This is pretty disgusting, guys. I'm sure you don't want to see me. Okay, there should be some plaque there.
Right,
You see
what we
that?
do is you use this thing to scrape it off and put it onto the slide.
Wow, it's pretty confronting.
Practice as possible. So I'm going to tell
Is
you
this me?
something. How many people have intraoral cameras in their practice?
Lots.
Okay, this is intraoral on steroids.
Yeah.
So, what we're doing...
Now, if you talk about dental microscopes, this is a real dental microscope.
Have a look here. See the blob?
Woo. Yeah.
See the blob?
Yeah.
That's your blob.
It's my blob.
I'm flicking over now to 40 times.
Ooh.
Okay. And we are...
Look at the things moving around.
Have a look. Now, you're a patient. You're a patient, right?
Yes.
And you've just seen this. Can you tell me what your initial reaction is?
Oh my God, I need to get rid of this.
And then what would you say?
How do I do that?
Bingo! Gotcha. How do I get rid of it? Now, I'm going to go
This is fantastic.
You know, you love it. Oh, you'll be here for hours. I could talk. I just wrote a book on this. So,
Look at my little worms.
look at my little worms. That's exactly. Oh, and we've got spirochetes.
No.
Spirochete.
Where? It is too.
Now, just for your information,
I have a
dentists-
spirochete. Yeah.
Dentists and dental hygienists have the worst oral biofilm of anyone. Yours is actually not.
Is it because we get it
horrible.
transmitted from our
Yes.
patients?
You're not born with this. People.
We get it transmitted from our patients.
No, and your mothers.
And our mothers.
And then your lovers. And your patients. So all of them gets
Nice.
transmitted. So I want you to find. I would like to say. I've got
Next,
my back to you.
next time someone asks why dentists earn so much, this is why. I'm here with Mike with Dynamic Business Technologies, and he was telling me about the dark web. Now, I kind of knew this, but I didn't know how bad it was. But the internet that we all love and know is only about 20% of the actual internet. There's another 80%, like an iceberg under the water, that's all about the dark web. And the dark web is all the bad stuff happens. It's where your identities get hacked, where they sell illegal stuff, where things just don't go right. And what used to happen, back in the past is, as dental practice, we'd get attacked with ransomware. They'd lock all our stuff and then ask for money in order to unlock it. But that's not what happens now. So now they do something called a phishing attack, which is where they get into your system, they wait, they kind of read your emails, see how you communicate. You might be buying a CBCT for $200,000. They will get in between that and kind of download your invoice, change the details and send it back to you, so you don't even know anything's happened, and it looks legit. Now, in the dark web, from what you've told me, your passwords can be sold and they can be transmitted to other people. And these guys check every day, if you use their services, to make sure that your passwords haven't been compromised. They also use two-factor authentication and all these other technologies to get that security layer in place. So as a dental practice, if you're worried about your IT and security, which we all are, then check these guys out. I'm here with Michael Sernik, and we've been talking about the Sernik System, which is a brand new online education system that's like no other. So when I say online education, people are always like, oh, I've been there, done that. But not quite the same style as Michael's has made it. And he's a genius at communication, and it's about soft skills and how do you test that. And he's telling me about Professor
Ebbinghaus.
Professor Ebbinghaus, and how he basically did research on retention rates of knowledge. And he said that most people after 30 days have lost more than 95% of knowledge. So only retained 5% of knowledge. So imagine us as practice owners sending people off to courses and coming back with 5% of knowledge. What's the point? So what Michael's come up with is a system that not only tests the soft skills, but also tests them individually for each staff member so they can ramp up what they need to learn at different rates. So unlike old systems where you have to get the whole team to come to one session and watch a video, and some people are thinking, boy, I know that before, and other people are thinking, what is he talking about? Now we're able to test them individually and give them modules that they can learn to be the most effective they can be. And the best thing is, you don't have to waste money by shutting down the whole practice. If there's a cancellation or if someone no-shows, that's the best time to do that. Now the system hasn't been released yet, but you have to go to serniksystems.com.au.
Sernik System without the S
Oh,
at the end.
Sernik System without the S at the end.
Okay, no C in it.
Perfect. And I'll leave a thing down the bottom. And basically register interest, so when it comes out, you can be one of the first people on there. Go ahead, that's all right. I saw him running around. Oh, there he is. Spirochetes. You said I had one spirochete somewhere.
You have them. But, I just saw one. You can see one under there. See under there?
Yes, there's a little spirochete.
Okay, but what you don't have any trichomonads and you don't have any amoeba.